Some of the other guests, I think Joe, he didn't like me at all.
Which Joe?
Joe Rogan.
Oh, Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
Oh no. In English, like your language is very short and punchy, so you can get quicker to the punchline. Have you ever tried writing stand-up in the Russian language?
That's a great question. I'm glad you asked it because I have a great story about that.
Been getting a lot of strange sexual requests, like really kinky requests. And I talked to my friends and they were like, that's how the young people are now. Like they all have a kink, they all have a fetish. That's like the style now.
Yeah.
As a young man, is that true? Like the girls you encounter your age, are they all like asking to be choked, spit on? Ladies and gentlemen, you are listening to the Pranzata Podcast. This is your host, Andrea Pranzatelli. This is episode 140 on the Pranzata Podcast. We have a new guest today. This is Alex Filkov. Alex is a stand-up comedian in the Philadelphia area. He is a Russian-American stand-up comedian. I've seen him perform at a local show around here, and he very much stands out. He's a super interesting comedian, so I have some questions for him today. Before we get into it, if you are new to this channel and you like what you hear today, please don't forget to hit subscribe. It is my mission to be a full-time podcaster, and every single subscriber helps me get closer to reaching the goal of that mission. All right, so my first question for you, Alex. I was looking at your Instagram. I was doing a little stalking to see what kind of questions I would ask for you today. I saw that you were on Kill Tony, is that right?
Yeah.
So do you mind telling me about that experience? I'm really curious about that.
Yeah, definitely. So this happened, I believe, in August last summer. Me and my homie, Little Joe, I think you know him too.
Yeah.
We traveled to New York. This was planned probably like a day in advance.
Yeah.
And we pulled up to New York. We signed up. There was, I think, like a 5-hour line, just for everyone waiting to sign up. And then they randomly picked people. And I think I was probably the third person to get picked.
Oh shit!
It was it was
like
crazy.
You said hundreds of people waited.
There's probably
that's like fate to almost.
The chances were insane.
Very crazy high pressure situation for a normal comedian to do a venue like this. Here he comes, everybody. Make some noise for Alex, everyone.
And before that, I haven't done comedy in probably like 2 months. So that was one of the first times being on stage in a while.
How did you perform?
I feel like some people would look at it differently. I think my interview was good. My joke was a good joke. I'm not gonna take that away from me, but I think the crowd didn't really see it for what it was.
Baby, I'm so happy to be here. Came here from Philly, man. Hey, there you go. Nah. Whoa. Chill.
So you're saying there was a mixed review?
There was definitely a mixed reaction. Yeah, I think so. Shane Gillis was there.
Shane,
go Birds.
He was there. Who else was there?
It was him, Joe, and then obviously Tony.
Okay.
So Shane, he's from Philly. At the end, when I was getting off, he kind of gave me a handshake. He said I did really good for what he saw, and just to keep going. Some of the other guests, I think Joe, he didn't like me at all.
Which Joe?
Joe Rogan.
Oh, Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
Oh no, that would be like my worst nightmare.
You know what I found out about fur coats?
they're hot.
They give you comfort when people are eating shit.
He's like the reason I podcast. He's like my hero, and if I went on stage and he hated me, I would be so devastated. Oh my god. What did it feel like to be performing in front of like Joe Rogan and Shane Gillis? Like, how did that feel?
It was insane, because when I got picked, I think. So they picked someone else before me, and that person wasn't there, so they had to redraw. And it was me, yeah.
Yeah, that's like even weirder. The chances are even weirder. And this was Madison Square Garden,
MSG,
so there was like a huge.
It was like 18,000 people.
Oh my god! Well, and how did the interview go? You said the interview.
So after my joke, the joke bombed, right? Everyone saw it. For those who did, it bombed.
Oh god, I'm gonna have to watch this.
I feel like once you bomb on that stage and you kind of realize oh, it can't be worse than this.
Yeah.
You just open up.
Yeah.
So during that interview, I was just kind of myself, I was, trash talking, just taking it in for what it was.
Maybe it's a good thing I didn't watch it beforehand, because if I hated it, I would judge you. Because I'm like, you're a nice guy. I like you. But maybe if I saw it, I'd be like, hey, I have to cancel the episode. No. All right, I'm going to see it later, but I'll go in with an open mind. Okay, so my next question for you. You're originally from Russia? That's
from Russia, yeah.
How long did you live there?
I lived there till I was 7. And then after I moved to Alaska.
Alaska?
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Right, crazy.
So what part of where you lived in Russia, was it cold there too?
It was,
were you used to that?
So in Russia, I lived in Moscow, which is like the capital. It was pretty cold during the winter. During the summer, it would be very warm.
Yeah.
And then when I moved to Alaska, I lived in the southern part.
Yeah.
So that part doesn't really get that cold. It's just mostly rainy.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Wow, that's really interesting. Do you know I read online that the highest, we're getting a little dark quickly here, but apparently Alaska has the highest percentage of rapes. Did you know that?
I saw that too, yeah.
What?
And like other crimes
why?
too. So what I think is,
like, why did you do it? No, I'm just
like,
kidding.
no.
I'm just kidding.
My theory is because their population is so small, you know, so everything that happens is kind of numbers get pumped up.
Okay, so you're not buying it. You don't think it actually.
No, I mean, I wasn't there. Okay.
Like, okay, everybody. So I think I understand your theory. Your theory is that because it's such like so few people live there, that naturally the percentages are going to be higher because there's less people there.
Exactly.
Like if we live in a city of, I don't know how many people live in Philadelphia, but like if we live in a city of like hundreds of thousands of people, naturally the percentages are going to be lower, but there might technically be more rapes here.
Right.
Like
exactly.
There's only like 10 people in the town and one person rapes. That's like, it's already a tenth of the town of rapists.
I think we're on the same page. Yeah.
Where did you like living better? Do you like living better? I mean, you were young in Russia, but from your memory, did you like it better in Russia, Alaska, or the United States?
So, given that I grew up mostly in Alaska, that's where I went to school, you know, had most of those memories. I think I cherished that a lot. Given that now I'm growing up, I like living in Philly. There's a lot more opportunities. I can go to, college, which I go to. I can do stand up, things that I wouldn't be able to do in Alaska.
Is there anything you don't like about Philly?
I don't like, some of the neighborhoods I try to avoid.
Like this one.
I didn't want to say.
No, I mean, I'm not going to tell anybody where I live because I don't want any stalkers on my doorstep. But let's just say I don't live in Kensington, which is, by the way, if no one knows what Kensington is, it's basically like the most dangerous city in the country. Like, I'm pretty sure. I think it might be like the most dangerous, not city, but like the most dangerous section of the country, I believe, is Kensington. It's like Skid Row. It's like comparable to Skid Row in LA. I don't live in Kensington. I live in an up and coming neighborhood very close to Kensington. That's like being gentrified, as they say. So there's nice things to do here, but there's definitely issues here as well. Like my car got stolen here. My bike was stolen here. All kinds of shit. My ass was grabbed at the train station. Like all kinds of stuff happens.
See, Alaska doesn't seem so bad now.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting. What do you remember about living in Russia that you liked, even though you were young? Like, is there anything that comes to mind?
I remember going to the first grade.
Yeah.
I remember the traffic was horrible.
Yeah.
So like every day I would go to school and we'd have to sit like 3 hours in a car.
Right.
That was kind of, it wasn't a highlight.
Yeah.
But other than that, the architecture is beautiful there.
That's what my dad said. My dad and my stepmom went to Russia and he said that the architecture was like gorgeous.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
I think like I was a kid, so I can fully
like appreciate it.
It, exactly.
What about the architecture here in Philly?
I like it.
The things that are falling apart.
Yeah. For the most part, it is beautiful,
Yeah.
Like coming from Alaska, I was able to appreciate this more than most people, I think.
Yeah, I like it here. I'm talking shit right now, but I actually really like it here. Like there's just a really interesting culture. There's like a lot of different, musicians, comedians, food, like stuff that, I really like. Okay. So my next question for you. I asked this question because I one time had a Japanese comedian on my podcast. Her name is Yumi Nagashima. Have you ever heard of her? She's really good.
No, never.
I asked her, like, have you ever written stand-up in Japanese? And she said that it's really hard because the language is so different. She's like, in English, like, your language is very short and punchy, so you can get quicker to the punchline. Have you ever tried writing stand-up in the Russian language, and how is that comparable to, like, what she said?
Yeah, that's a great question. I'm glad you asked it because I have a great story about that. So this past summer, I had an idea, right? because I live in a pretty Russian neighborhood.
You do? Philly has a Russian neighborhood?
It does, yeah. So basically what I wanted to do was I wanted to host for restaurants, and a lot of those restaurants needed a Russian speaker to host their events.
Wow.
Yeah, so what I would do is I would go out, make business cards, give it out to all these restaurants and tell them that, you know, I'm a comedian, host, do it all in Russian, and I'm there for them, right? So I made the business cards, went through with it, and actually in like 2 weeks, I got booked for this restaurant. The guy, he called me up. He said, you know, we got a sold out show. We got 200 people. I need you to do an hour up top.
Yeah.
And in my head, I thought, okay, you know, I got some jokes. What I'm going to do is I'm going to translate in my head my English jokes to my Russian.
And it did not translate.
So listen, I went, you know, I was confident. I put on a suit, put on a bow tie, right? I went up. 2 minutes in, it clicked. I was like, this is not working.
But you were already like stuck doing it.
I was already on stage. I was like, oh, well.
Like, what did it translate to? Like, how bad? Like, what?
Like,
can you explain it in English?
Like,
or
the
is it hard?
punchline just wasn't funny, you know? And I think, because I tried like one joke, you know, I tried it, I translated. I was like, yeah, this is funny.
Yeah.
But in my head, I knew what the punchline was supposed to be.
Yeah.
You know, but if you don't know the punchline, if you don't know the whole joke,
yeah,
you can't just go language to language.
Right. Because comedy is very, and I know this because I'm a musician. And when I listen to stand-up comedians perform, I can hear like musical elements. It's hard to explain, but the art of stand-up, and I'm saying this like as I'm a professional at doing it. I'm not a professional at doing it. Like I did stand-up for like a year, and I, you know, didn't get that developed. But just from observing, like with a musician's perspective, there's like a certain cadence and a rhythm to the way they have their jokes set up. And if you're used to doing it in one language and you've just on the spot doing it in a different language, I would imagine it could be like a nightmare.
Oh yeah, it definitely is. I thought it would be a lot more smoother, but I guess the only way to learn is just to try it.
Right. Interesting. Do you see yourself trying to do more Russian stand-up and getting an audience?
I definitely want to. I feel like once you bomb that bad once,
it can't get any worse.
Exactly. You know, and a lot of people, like, it takes so much time just to get up on stage,
right,
and they overthink the result, right? A lot of times the best thing to do is just try it. Right. Whatever it is, you know, you're either going to see that it's horrible, and if you still enjoy it a little bit, try it again.
All right. That's very inspiring, everybody. Anybody listening who has something they want to try. Okay, this is an interesting question. I have doubts about the answer to this question now because you say you live in a Russian neighborhood. But my question was going to be, do you ever find yourself mingling with a lady, an American lady, and she finds out you're Russian and she's like, I support Ukraine, I'm not fucking you?
No, actually, really? Never, no.
The opposite? So
I've had like girls that I was talking to, you know, I went on a few dates, and then usually I get a phone call from someone. And I started speaking in Russian. Yeah. And then sometimes those girls, like, they just don't talk to me anymore, you know? But I don't know if it's like a Russian thing or if it's just me.
So you don't experience like any, because I feel like, you know, Philly's a pretty liberal area.
Yeah.
So I'm surprised. Like I thought you were going to have like people being prejudiced towards you for that.
Not like open hatred, you know? Right. Maybe they do have something in their heart, but they've never like openly expressed it.
Right. Interesting. Okay. So that definitely changes my thoughts on that. Because in my head, I was like, oh, he probably gets that all the time, but not at all.
Scrap the rest of the questions.
Dude, maybe you got game because like, okay, I'm not going to call out who this person is, but a lot of ladies in Philly say they would never fuck a guy who is a Trump supporter. But I have one guy friend who voted for Trump and, you know, he doesn't he hooks up with liberal ladies and they make an exception for him every time. So, well, not every time, but most of the time. But he's a good-looking guy. So I'm like, you know, you're a good-looking guy. So maybe like certain guys, like they get away with it.
Yeah, and I feel like some people, they just kind of put it out there, right? Just to stand out. You know, maybe he says it and then...
And they're just like, damn, like, that's a power move. Like if all the girls in Philly are like, I would never fuck a Trump supporter, and like, he just puts it out there, they probably respect, like,
they're like, oh, he's different, you know?
Interesting. Okay, so all right, the next question, I apologize for this I mean, it's not a major transition, but it might be a bit of an intense question. So I'm on the dating apps. Keep in mind, I'm 36 years old.
Okay.
And this is new territory for me. I'd imagine you do dating apps, like that's normal for you?
Sometimes. I try to stay off of them, but...
Okay, so my question for you, you're younger. Because I'm 36, a lot of the guys I'm meeting on there are like 28 because a lot of guys my age are married.
Right.
Lately, I've been meeting a lot of very strange, been getting a lot of strange like sexual requests, like really kinky requests. And I talked to my friends and they were like, that's how the young people are now. Like they all have a kink, they all have a fetish. That's like the style now. Yeah. As a young man, is that true? Like the girls you encounter your age, are they all like asking to be choked, spit on? Like, is that how it is now?
It depends. Honestly, like if a girl comes off too weird, I try to stay away from that, you know?
Really?
Because I don't need that in my life.
I've been finding myself attracted to guys that are like 27, 28. That's been my thing lately. And my friends are like, they're going to expect weird shit. That's just how it is. Like, you're not going to sleep with a 28-year-old if like you don't get spit on, choked, like something like that. And I'm like, damn, I guess like porn fucked everybody up, I think.
So I think the people that are on the dating apps have a different mentality than the people who are out meeting like people in real life. Yeah. You know, because when you're on an app, you can say the most random.
They just say it.
Right. Because they know like chances are they're never going to meet that girl in real life.
So they're like, I better just like take my chances.
Yeah. You know, and if the girl responds to them and chances are that's not going to go anywhere too, you know, like they're just saying it to say it. Yeah. That's how I feel like, you know?
Okay. Do you ever meet girls in real life?
Yeah, I mean, if I see like a pretty girl, I'm gonna go up and talk to her for sure.
Really? Wow. Huh. Maybe I should try doing that because then I'm meeting all these weird guys on the app. So
yeah, well, I don't know how it is like for your age. Yeah, and I'm not trying to ruin or anything, but I feel like if you're going out and trying to meet people, it's a lot better because like once you're out, you have a chance to just connect with someone.
So for me, I think the danger is because, like I said, I'm 36. I don't know who's married or not, and it's awkward. Like, and I won't like. Maybe I should just go for it. And if they're married, like, oh shit, sorry, my bad.
Yeah, well, I think probably guys are gonna approach you, right? If they're not married. Yeah. And a lot of times, like, even if you ask someone and they're not married, you could just.
Is that a turn off when a girl approaches the guy?
No.
Really?
No, I think it's...
Have you ever been approached?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll keep that in mind too when I'm going out. But yeah, no, these guys, like I don't even care. I'm just going to share. It's a very open podcast. He seemed to have like a spit fetish, which at first I didn't think was that weird. I was like, okay, porn, messy blowjobs, like I get it. That stuff's out there. But it seemed like every activity needed spit. Like he was like, when we make out, I want like the drool to drip like down your face. Yeah. Or like when we like why does everything have to have spit? I'm like, is that weird to you? Is that like if a girl said that to you, she was like, when we make out, I want drool to roll down your chin, or like, I want to spit on your dick like every time we have sex. Like, would that?
Yeah. See, for me, I feel like if a request is too specific,
there's something weird about that.
There's something weird, right? Like for me, I feel like if anything is too extreme,
that's what it was. It was like and I made a joke with him because like, for those listening to the podcast, if you wonder why I've been missing, I had like a really bad allergic reaction to what ended up being like a moldy pipe. Like I didn't realize it, so I couldn't podcast. And I made a joke to him. I was like, well, now's a good time to date me because I have like mold sickness, so I spit all the time. And I was joking, and he responded with like, we were texting that. He responded with like a bunch of heart faces, and he was like, this is the best news I've ever heard. And I was like, oh shit. I'm like, I was kidding. Like he was like dead serious. He was like really excited that like I would be like hawking loogies like all the time.
That's horrible.
Yeah. I was like, yeah, this isn't gonna work for me. I think porn fucked everybody up, dude. Yeah. Like what happened to just like normal ass and titties? Like that's fine the way it is, right?
I think it should be, Yeah.
Okay. All right, next question. All right, this is a weird transition, but bring you back a little bit. Do you see yourself like pursuing stand-up as like like you want to keep going at it and make it a career?
I definitely want to see where it takes me.
Yeah.
So lately, I haven't been doing it that much.
Yeah.
But stand-up is so difficult, because like, especially trying to go up in your career.
Yeah.
you have to put either stand-up or like your actual career, you know?
Right.
Because once you start going more into corporate, you know, I want to make money, I want to do this, stand-up falls off, you know? A lot of the things you don't really find funny anymore, you try to be like more serious.
Yeah.
And then when you go do stand-up, it feels good, but at the same time, in the back of your head, there's a voice that's saying, like, come on, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Right? You should be making money and doing this. So
you deal with that like internal battle?
Yeah, just the internal battle of me, you know, wanting to pursue my dreams, but also wanting to mature and just be there for like my, you know, future family, even my parents, like support them.
Yeah. Huh. So you're a finance guy, and you at this point in your life, would you say you put your finance career before stand up? Would you say mentally that like that's where your head's at?
I feel like my mindset has always been about making money.
Yeah.
Stand up gives me a way to just be myself and put that to the side.
Right.
Right. Because you can't be all work.
Right.
But to be really good at stand up,
you have to turn it into work.
That has
in a way.
Sort of be your work, you know?
Right.
And it's really hard to mentally just put your like finance, you know, money career to the side.
Yeah.
And just pursue that all the way, you know?
Yeah.
Because like when you're doing a few mics here and there, right? You're just doing it for fun. It is fun, but you're never going to be the best.
No, yeah.
So
that's literally like when he walked in, I was telling that to him about like my music stuff. So people listening, I mean, my regular listeners already know this. I'm a musician. I did stand up for about a year, like maybe a year and a half tops. And I stopped doing stand up because I realized exactly what you just said, that there was no way I could possibly be great at both. I had to kind of pick one. Mm-hmm. Now, maybe I'll do stand up on the side again and not expect it to go anywhere. But I'm afraid that I'm like a perfectionist. I like to do things good. I'm afraid that if I say that, I'm going to like get too into it again. Yeah. Because like I know how I am. I can't just like stop. Like I'm obsessive. I'm an obsessive type of person.
I'm the same way. You know, if I do something in my head, once I do it, like once I kind of feel like could be good at this, my head is like taking me to, all right, let's do this until we're the best, you know?
I think I saw it because I was looking at your Instagram to try to like figure out what to ask you. Mm-hmm. I saw some fitness stuff. Do you get obsessive with that too?
Yeah, I try not to anymore. But for like the longest time, I wanted to be a fitness creator. Like
you did?
Yeah, I did.
I think I went through that phase too, because like I lift weights and stuff like that too. And I think at one point I was like, I should be, but but it's that thing. Like I'm afraid to do something because I'll become obsessed with it. Yeah. I'm like, let me just work out. I don't need to stick to music and stuff like that.
Right. And for me, the gym is definitely a place where I just feel safe, relaxed. I go there to clear my mind. I feel like if I do make it like all about the gym, start making money off of that, then that's going to become your work. You know?
Huh. I wasn't planning this question, but I actually do want to bring this up because you said about finance. Mm-hmm. Can you explain to me anything about like the future of like Bitcoin? Like, I don't know. I don't understand it all, but do you think that the future of money is going to change? Like, do you believe that like that it's all going to be Bitcoin and that like the value of the dollar is going to?
Yeah. So I don't think cash is ever going to fully disappear.
Yeah.
But the digital crypto and currency and all of that is already like, it's already taken over, so I don't think that's ever gonna disappear as well.
Like I don't even know what they mean. Like what does anybody even mean? Like how would I even, like how would Bitcoin work? Like how do I do it? Like what do I do?
So
I don't even know what to ask because I don't understand it, so I don't even know how to ask the question. But like if right now I was like I want to invest in Bitcoin or I want to get Bitcoin, what would I even do to start?
So basically, I'm assuming you probably don't have $100K in cash just sitting around.
No.
Right?
No.
So what you would do is you would buy a share of company, right? If you wanted Bitcoin, you would buy like a piece of that coin. If you wanted, what I would suggest, I wouldn't suggest getting Bitcoin. I would suggest going into like the smaller currencies, right? Because you could get a lot of those coins, and then if they do potentially rise, you would have those coins in your wallet. Right? So what crypto and like all those coins are, they're basically a decentralized exchange system where you don't need a bank because it's all in this like air, basically. Not in the air, you don't want to put it that way, but it's all through the like online.
And do you think that there's going to be more kinds of coins. Like Bitcoin isn't going to be the only one. Like there's going to be, aren't there like scam ones?
So there is scam ones.
Like I heard about that one.
Yeah. So those are like called meme coins. What people do is they basically create a meme coin using another coin called Solana.
Okay.
And then once that coin goes out into the market, people buy it. Usually those people pump up the price and they just sell everything.
So I could do it. I can make Pranzata Podcast coin if I want.
You could, yeah. You would need to get like a lot of traction for it though.
Yeah.
Right. That's why people use things that are already like a meme, for example. So, but those coins, you never want to invest into those coins because a lot of times what people do is they just pump up the value and then sell off. It's called a rug pull. And then the people who invested, they just lose everything.
Do they talk about any of this in college? Like, is college up to date or is college outdated where they only discuss like old?
It's not outdated. College is more just standard material, right? So something that's written in the books. The college material, like the books, they were written probably, like a while ago, right? So a lot of the stuff that we have right now, like Bitcoin, all of that.
They don't discuss that.
That's not going to be, no.
Huh. I feel like that is stupid, right? Like shouldn't the colleges be keeping up with what actually happens?
Well, most of the professors, if you ever went to a college, they're like in their 60s.
So they're like worse than me. Like
yeah. So I think college teaches you how to just think critically. Or actually, no. I think college teaches you how to read and how to memorize material. Yeah. And then what you do after is you learn yourself how to think critically and how to apply that knowledge towards what you actually need.
So is it I've heard this quote before. They don't teach you what to think, but how to think.
Yes.
Okay.
I didn't think about it for a little bit. I think so, yeah.
Like you're learning the skills of thinking.
Yeah.
So you don't have to go by the book necessarily. You learn the rules of the book, but then you have the skills to be able to think analytically about the world.
Right. So it teaches you like a formula, right? And then how you apply that formula to whatever you need is up to you. Yeah. Right. So college isn't going to give you the answer how to become successful. Yeah. College is going to give you the tools to potentially have you figure out how to be successful.
I mean, like I went to college for music, but I just don't know how it translates to finance. Like I know in the music world, there's definitely things that I learned from music school that is very valuable, but there's also things that professors taught me that were like, that's horrible advice. But again, I'm a individual, I'm a free human being. I have the right to decide that for myself. Like, so.
And it's like, it's very different for different individuals. What you find useless could be kind of useful to somebody else. Yeah. Right. So like there was a public speaking course that I had to take last semester. For someone, could have been life-changing. For me, I was doing shows like every other week. So
you already had was there anything in that class that you were like, that's not true, I do public speaking and that's bullshit?
No, I think some of the material was kind of like dragged a little bit, but for me, it felt dragged. For someone else, they could have been listening and they were very in tune with what's happening, right? They actually needed that to succeed in their life.
As a comedian, do you okay, I mean, I used to be a comedian, but it's been a while. Do you, after every set is over, do you analyze like, okay, I need to say it this way next time. Like I need to maybe raise my tone here, like change the pitches of how you speak. Mm-hmm. You actually think about that stuff like when you get off stage? When
I first started, I would do that probably a little too much. And then once you kind of like get into the flow and you have a memorized set, then it's more about coming up with a joke, right? Like after you get off stage, for me, I kind of like think of new jokes that I'm going to use, maybe like a callback.
Right.
And then it becomes more of how can I build instead of how can I do better on what I just did.
Right. You get used to it and you get like in the flow of your own rhythm.
Yeah. And like, for people who have done stand up like over a year, you probably aren't recording everything, right? Like every little mic, you're not like over analyzing. You're just trying to see how you can be better in the future.
I used to record myself and then be embarrassed to watch it, and I would never watch it. I'd be like, oh, I don't want to see myself.
100%.
I was like grossed out. Like I was like, I did it because all the greats said I should, and then I'd be like, I don't want to listen to that, or I don't want to watch that. Maybe if I ever go back to stand up, I'll start with audio only, because I don't know if I could like watch myself on stage. It would be weird.
For sure. I remember when I first started, like 3 months in, I would always record, and same thing, right? Like if I had a bad set, I'm like, no way I'm watching this. You know, and then one time I felt like I had a great set. Yeah. Right. So I recorded it. I remember I had all my friends gather around. I was like, guys, I'm doing stand up. Right. So I showed it to them, like, are you ready? They're like, we're ready. And then we started watching it, and 30 seconds in, I was like, no, we are not watching this.
I podcast, so I can see myself on camera podcasting, and I see myself in music, and I'm fine with that. But there's just something about like seeing myself do stand up that I was like, I don't want to see that. You know?
Yeah, exactly. And it's kind of like a part of you, especially if you do good. Yeah. You don't want to see yourself and realize you actually don't look good. Yeah.
I mean, it's just like, it's depressing. And I will say this, as a musician, I hate seeing videos and photos of myself singing, because people look fucking ugly when they're singing. Like I'm like making like distorted faces. I'm like, I don't want to see that. And I think it's the same with stand up. Like you know, you're getting into character and you got wrinkles and shit on your face. Right. Like as a woman, I don't want to see that shit, but I guess men don't want to see it either.
I feel like no human wants to see themselves in like the worst form possible.
Yeah. Okay, I have a couple more questions for you. So we were talking about advancing your comedy career, and you sort of like, you just kind of want to see where it goes, even though you're conflicted on it. Mm-hmm. If there was ever a point in your life where you were like, I want to do this, like I really want to do this, what city would you see yourself going to pursue comedy? And I feel like the big ones are probably LA, New York, and Austin, Texas. Yeah. Would you ever move to one of those places?
Maybe Austin. I definitely want to go somewhere south. You know, I don't think I would move to New York because I think it's oversaturated.
Have you visited New York since you've been there?
Yeah, I've done mics and like a few shows here and there. So we've been up to New York a few times, and it was fun, you know, just to go for a day, just to meet new people, see all that. But it's not a city I would want to move to.
Also, things are different now because of the internet. You don't necessarily have, like, I feel like it probably used to be that you had to live in one of these places, but I feel like now because of the internet and, you know, you can post your comedy clips, you could be a great in Philly, post your clips, and people in other parts of the country could see it and then hire you for a gig. Like you might not necessarily have, like you might be able to make it in Philly now. I don't know, but I'm not sure if that's true, but I feel like it's possible, you know?
No, I think that's definitely true. Especially with the internet, anybody can become successful. Right? Some people don't have the equipment and like the experience or the knowledge to do something like this, to even post, you know, their talent out there. Yeah. But once you get that, I think that's more important than trying to find the perfect city, right? So if you're somewhere in a town that's not really like dense or there's not much to do, get good at this, you know?
Dude, I know so many talented musicians and comedians that hate video editing, and I'm like, you have to do it. Like that's the game now. Yeah. That's what you have to do.
Right.
You know? And I literally talked about this with like that guest, like one of my friends who's a talented musician. He was like, he's like, I didn't become a musician to be a video editor. I'm like, yeah, but no matter what era you lived in, there was a dumbass game to play. Like right now you have to play the social media game and, you know, get views and clicks and likes and whatever on social media. But before social media, it's not like people just became famous. They had to like suck up to they had to do like sexy dances and like suck up to these corporate assholes and stuff like that, and that was their game to play. And there was just like all kinds of stuff people had to do, and it's like and then my one friend he said he'd rather just like suck Harvey Weinstein's dick one time than make content for the rest of his life. And I'm like
he just wants to do it at that point. You know,
and I'm like, that is a good point. I mean, like, it is annoying to have to constantly make content, but the goal would be to hopefully get like an assistant to do it for me eventually.
Someone to do it for you.
But, and I don't know, it's like, what else am I gonna do like in life? You know what I mean? Like, I don't have a family, I don't have kids, like I live by myself. Like, yeah, it's a lot of work, but what else am I doing? Like, it gives me something to live for. Like, it gives me like a passion and a purpose to live for. You know?
It gives everybody a chance to become great without having to like be somewhere.
Yeah.
Like, you know, you don't have to move to a city. You don't have to sacrifice that much.
Yeah.
Right? You can start, and just as long as you're working, you're consistently doing something, you can become like the best in your field.
Yeah. Okay, so I got into an argument with my friend the other day. So this one is for him if he's listening. As a comedian, do you like sarcasm? Like, do you like sarcastic humor?
I don't know if I like it. I feel like I definitely use it, you know, especially in like real life. If I'm out with a group of people, I'm definitely sarcastic. Are
you like mostly a sarcastic person?
Yeah, I try to stay away from it because I know that some people really don't like it.
I was arguing with him. I'm like, it makes you sound like a dick.
Yeah.
Are you a dick?
I try not to be, you know, but sometimes like if I see a joke or someone makes a joke and I know that joke should not have been made. Yeah. You know, like for me, like in my heart, I'm like, all right, like we got to point that out. Yeah. And I don't want to just say it, you know, I want to lighten up the mood. Yeah. That's why I kind of use that sarcasm to.
Yeah, that makes sense. Like you're trying to like give criticism, but in a playful way.
Exactly. Yeah. Right. Because like if you're in with like a group of people, you don't want to just bash someone.
All right. How do you define sarcasm? Like, because we were arguing about that too. Like, he's like, sarcasm is when you just say what you don't mean. I'm like, it's more specific. It's more specific than that.
Yeah, I think it's. I don't know the definition, to be honest. It's probably just like. Say his one more time. I want to analyze it.
So his definition was, and I looked up the definition. I know it. I'm going to tell you later, but I'm going to see if you could break it down because it's more interesting. His definition was that you just say what you don't mean. And I'm like, it's a lot more specific than that because many people would be sarcastic. Many comedians would be sarcastic if they say what they don't mean because a lot of people say what they don't mean. Like a lot of jokes are, you know.
It's saying what you don't mean, but with the intent of letting the other person know.
So the definition of sarcasm is to say what you don't mean, but to specifically mean the opposite.
Right.
So like the exact opposite.
Right. But I think for most people, why they do it is just to kind of let someone else know that, you know, they're wrong. But they don't want to do it in a way where they're telling them they're wrong. Yeah. They kind of just want to let them know. Yeah. Right. There's no better way than winning an argument than having the other person agree that they were wrong.
Okay. Here's an example of sarcasm, like meaning the opposite. Let's say you came in here and you brought like Burger King. Mm-hmm. If I was to be sarcastic with you, I'd be like, oh, you're really healthy today, huh? That's sarcasm because it's like I'm saying something, but it's like I mean the opposite.
Right. Right.
Would that be mean to you if I said that?
No, I don't think that would be mean. I feel like we probably do sarcasm a little differently, right? Like if someone just does it like something in their life, I'm not gonna fuck with them.
And then he tried to tell me, because he was like, you definitely like sarcasm because you like Mark Norman, and I'm like, Mark Norman is not sarcastic. Is he? Do you think he's sarcastic? I don't think he's sarcastic.
I think he has like a part of his comedy is sarcasm, but his jokes, I don't think they're based off of sarcasm.
I feel like his joke writing is more specific, like it's more direct.
Yeah, it's definitely like, it's for sure direct.
Who are some of your comedic people?
For me, I like Shane Gillis.
That's like a thing lately. I've noticed a lot of dudes like Shane Gillis, and I haven't listened to much of his stand-up, but all the dudes are like, I like Shane Gillis. And I'm like, I have to listen to him because I haven't really listened to him.
It's just the stuff he says is relatable. You know?
Right?
A lot of his material is something that like a regular dude just experienced.
That's what I thought, because I'm like, he's like a very, like, no offense, but he's like a very average looking guy. Like so I kind of thought like maybe he's just relatable is like what's so popular about him.
You know, like you look at him and you think, you know, maybe I'm not the best at this, but at least, you know, I can be great at something. Yeah. Right. And I'm not like, I love Shane. I feel like he's probably the best comedian out there right now.
That's what I mean. Like so many dudes say that now, and I'm like, why don't I? Because I listen to a lot of stand up. Like I know most of the people now, like the new names. I know a lot of the new names, and I'm like, why haven't I listened to his stand up? I'm gonna like maybe tonight I'm gonna watch like one of his specials just to see what the hype is. You know,
I watched like a video on him explaining how his shows go, and he was saying that like 90% is just all dudes,
males, right? Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah. One of my new favorites is a female one, actually. Jordan Jensen.
I haven't heard.
Did I just name a porn star? I'm pretty sure her name is Jordan Jensen. I really hope I'm not mixing that up with a porn star's name. It sounds like it could be a porn star, but it's Jordan Jensen. Yeah, she's like a kind of like a tomboy type of female. She's one of the new ones. She's really funny. Who else besides Shane Gillis?
I love Theo.
I love Theo Von too. Yeah, everybody loves Theo Von. However, I haven't seen a lot of his stand-up. I've seen his podcast.
Yes,
like same with Tim Dillon. I saw Tim Dillon's stand-up and it was really funny, but like his podcast is really where it's at.
Hilarious. Yeah.
Other
than that, for stand-up, I definitely like Mark Norman.
I love Mark Norman.
Right.
Yeah, he's one of the best.
He's probably one of the best joke writers out there.
Oh, I've seen him put his clips on Instagram where it's like, just give me a topic and he kills it.
Yeah,
I'm like, holy shit. Like he'll come up with material just like right on the spot.
Yeah. I think his brain is just like dialed into comedy.
Mark Norman is one of those people, like he came out of the womb like talking about his mother's pussy. Like he just came out of the womb and made a joke about his mom's pussy. Like he lives, breathes jokes. And I wonder if he was like that as a kid too, or if it wasn't until he was older. But
that's the thing with doing comedy. You know, the more you do it, the more your brain just tries to find the funny in everything. Yeah. Right. And that's like we were talking earlier, you know, career versus comedy. It's so hard to just pursue comedy because then when you're in like a professional setting, you know, and someone says anything, you're like, oh, how can I make this funny? Yeah. And everyone is like, just don't, you know. Sometimes
it's cringy when amateur comedians do it, like when I don't know if you know what I'm talking about, and I hope you're not one of these people because then I'm making fun of you, but there's some like young amateur comedian guys who like they're like desperate to get a laugh. Like you feel it in their energy. They're like, what could I say right now in this conversation to make this person laugh? And it's like, dude, chill. But Mark Norman, it's like he's not even trying. It's just the way he is.
Yeah. And sometimes the more you do it, the more you know like when a joke is actually gonna land. Yeah. And that's when you say it. Yeah. Because when you're starting out and you did a few mics, a few shows,
it's a weird energy. Like it whenever I'm around that type of person who's like an amateur comedian, it makes me feel like I have to laugh for you to be okay. Yeah. Like it's like a weird it's almost like a girl being like, am I pretty? Like, do you think I'm pretty? Like that's how it is. It's like the male version of that, and it's like, holy shit.
Right.
Like, I've had like female friends like that like they'll come dressed up and they'll just like stand there like waiting for a compliment. And I'm like, I could literally feel you wanting me to compliment you. And I feel like new comedians are that way with like jokes. Like it's really weird.
Yeah, it's definitely a mix, you know. But also on the opposite side of that, if you are funny, a lot of people are so shy, you know. Sometimes like they have something funny they would say, but they just kind of like, you know, wave it off. Yeah. So you got to find that balance, right? Yeah. If you have a joke, say it, but never force it.
Were you naturally a joking person as a kid, or?
No. I had a lot of friends that were funny, and I was like in their group. Yeah. But I was always like just a bystander, you know. I would laugh, but not even like out loud.
You were bi?
No, I was. No, I'm just kidding. The allegations are strong. But yeah, I mean, I feel like if you have someone like, for me when I was younger, I would like look at people and I would think, damn, they're funny. Yeah. And I would analyze like, how can I be funny?
Oh, okay. Okay. I mean, as a girl, I used to do that in high school. I'd be like, she's hot. Like, how could I be hot too? I definitely do that. All right. I only have one more question for you. I'm not going to hold you hostage forever. We've been going for about an hour. I guess it's like a philosophical question about jokes. Do you believe that every joke has truth in it?
I think truth makes a joke funny, and relatable. But at the same time, making a joke too truthful can be dangerous. Mm-hmm. You know, because a lot of times people don't want to hear something that's too truthful, you know. Because like for me, when I write jokes, I want to base them off a real event, but a lot of times I just end up going on like a tangent and just coming with stuff up, right? You want to make something that people can relate to, but you don't want to like offend someone, you know. And to make a joke, especially like one that's true, it's kind of, you know, you're on thin ice.
Do you think it's possible to write jokes without any truth in it? Like they're just total made up?
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Do you have any of that in your stand-up? Oh, yeah?
Yeah. I feel like I'm like a pathological liar sometimes.
How often have you lied on this podcast episode?
How often have I not lied?
Wait, have you really been a pathological liar before like joke writing? Like when you were younger?
Yeah.
I had friends like that, like who they wanted attention. Like I had this one, I'm not going to call her out, but I had this one specific female friend who she would make up friends. Like she would be like, yeah, I have this friend Travis. Like she would like make up people to like kind of like build a story of her life to like make her life sound cool or something like that.
For me, I just hate small talk and boring conversations.
Yeah.
You know, so when I was in school and I would be with a group of friends and we'd be talking about something and I would feel like the conversation wasn't going anywhere, you know? So sometimes I'd want to tell my story, and if it wasn't good, then on the spot, I would exaggerate it, and I would always try to end with a punchline, you know? Because if I thought like, if I tell a story and it's not funny, what did I bring to the table, you know?
I wouldn't say that's a pathological liar. I think you're just embellishing a story. I feel like that's pretty normal.
Yeah, it is. Oh, you know, until you start telling stories that weren't even there in the beginning.
Well, that's
you know.
I have a bad habit of lying when I don't feel like having an annoying conversation.
Yeah.
Like over really dumb details. Like people would be like, "Where did you get this shirt?" And I'll just be like, "Macy's." Like and I'll just like I'll say lies like that because I don't care to talk about it. Like I just want to end the conversation. Right. I do ever do that one too?
Oh, for sure. But that's standard. Like everyone has done that.
Yeah, no. And then I remember I had this one boyfriend who like, he was a very like jealous type. So he would remember all the details of like stupid things I lied about. And he'd be like, you told me it was Target and not Macy's. And I'd be like, it's not because I'm fucking somebody. It's like, just because I don't like care. Like, you know what I mean? Yeah. Like, I don't know. So. Yeah.
I think personally, like I've stopped lying. I feel like after I started doing stand up, because my life got a lot more interesting. So I think you only have a problem once you start forgetting that you lied.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Because like when I was younger, sometimes people would call me out and I would be like what do you mean? And I would genuinely think I was telling the truth, you know? Yeah. But after like I started like maturing, growing up, I'd stop doing that, you know?
I've been watching on YouTube a lot lately at bedtime. It was like a weird thing to watch at bedtime. But it's like police interrogation videos when they're trying to get the murderer to confess. And like the videos I watch are like, they know it's like a murderer, and it's like, it's crazy to see the elaborate, have you seen those videos before? It's crazy to see the elaborate lies that people will come up to like try to defend themselves.
Like I've imagined myself like in court if I was like not like nothing crazy, you know, but if I was like there for like a petty crime and the judge was like, what do you have to explain yourself? I thought about like how I would, you know, how I'd defend myself.
Interesting. All right, so we're gonna end it right there. No, I'm just kidding. So we are gonna end it right there. Actually, is there anything you want me to like? Is there anything you want to plug in there? Like shows coming up in Philly? I'm gonna edit this pretty fast. So.
Oh yeah. I don't have too many shows coming up. Just like, you know, I'll probably be doing one in Punchline somewhere in the future.
Oh, nice.
Hell yeah. But yeah, I mean, follow my Instagram at Alex F Comedy.
I'll put a link below for you guys so that it's easy for you to find it. Anybody living in the Philly, New York, whatever area, and you want to see his local Philadelphia shows, you can find him easily. And that's it. Anything else, or that's it?
And you can also see the Kill Tony clip on there too.
Oh, right. I'm going to watch the Kill Tony clip later today, and we'll see if my opinion... I think he's a nice guy, but we'll see how my opinion is after I watch this.
We'll see if this gets posted.
That's it. Pranzata Podcast, episode 140. Have a good day, guys. Bye.